Hello. Hey everybody, I hope you're gonna tune in to our live class today. Stephanie should be joining us soon, and she is going to respond to questions that you might have as we go through this class. It's been a while since we've seen each other, so hi! If you've seen that little GIF video of the kitty with the paws, that's my greeting. So kitty paws. Kitty paws. So this is my first live video. So I may have a few interruptions just to check in with Stephanie by text if the video is not coming through properly. So give me a little chance to get used to this format as well. It's new for me. Hey, we all learn new things, right? So we're doing a collage today as part of our class, and I've got some great examples to show you. I think we've done some collages in some of our other classes too, so some of you may have experience with it. It's a really cool technique. The root of the word collage is actually kind of like an old word. I was looking at history of collage, and there's actually some collages that are really old. So I think the eldest one was the 12th century. Who knew? And then in the 1800s, it kind of made a resurface there. Someone very famous, you'll have to research this, Marie Antoinette. She was kind of known for cutting up actual artwork. So that's kind of scary. So don't cut up any artwork of your families. I mean, you can ask what materials, of course, to use. But you have a kit. Some of you have a kit. If you didn't get a kit, then you're going to use supplies at home. So I'm going to go over some of those today. So glue stick, number one, This is what I used this morning when I kind of made our sample for the class. Just checking in with Stephanie, making sure that she can see it. And I see a couple people are there watching, so that's good. Hi. I'm just making sure with Stephanie that everything is where it's supposed to be, because like I said, this is my first time doing a live video, so it might take me a second to kind of get all settled and make sure I've got all the connections right. So I apologize for that. It might take just a minute. And we're in our classroom. So we are at the collective, which is cool. You guys haven't been here. Yay, Stephanie's on there. Perfect. So I see her. So we're at the collective doing our class. We're doing collage today. So collage kits. Some of you got a kit. If you're at home, then you have been emailed the instructions. So we're going to do collage with a lot of different materials. First rule, right? Don't cut up the family heirlooms. That would not be good. Ask your parents before you cut up anything or start to use anything as an art supply that you are not sure of. Just double check. Hey, can I use this book, or can I use this magazine? Sometimes there's really awesome recipes and magazines. You don't want to destroy those, right? So ask first. There are several different types of glue that you can use. We've got glue sticks, which is what we normally use in class. They're super friendly to use. They dry fast. They don't get on your fingers too bad, so we've got that. And next one is just regular old friend of the art world, Elmer's glue, so you can use that too. Again, you could use the tip, or you could use your finger. You could use a paintbrush. Just make sure you wash it out if you use a paintbrush, because it could get pretty goopy fast. And then the next one you might be able to use is Mod Podge. So, or like a decoupage glue. So there's a lot of different ways you can do a decoupage. So the first part is getting your design. So we're going to think about it. So you might want to think about what time of year it is, the seasons, what kind of little plants are you seeing outside. I don't know about you guys, but we had some daffodils come up in my yard, so that's a good inspiration. The other thing is maybe you want to do like a tree. So I'm going to show you what I have sketched out. Now my paper might be a little bit bigger than the paper you have at home. And again, I'm just checking in to make sure Stephanie is sending that she's in. She's live too. She's here to help answer questions as we go. So I started my collage by sketching a design. So the one I'm working on is actually, you're gonna love it. I'm excited about this one. It's a bunny, so it's really cute. So this is my bunny. Hope you can kind of see it. You can kind of see his ears. So I sketched in the design of the bunny first. So some of these pieces can come off. Hopefully you can kind of see, yeah, you can kind of see the bunny. There's his little legs, his tail, and his little arms. So I sketched in his eyes, even though of course I'm gonna collage over them, and that's gonna be a second layer. Yay, I'm glad you like it. I had fun doing the bunny. So I'm thinking spring. So think about the things outside that are part of our season right now that we can enjoy and appreciate. That's fun, because then when you look back at it, you can go, oh, that must have been springtime that I did that because I made a bunny or a daffodil. I love trees. So I actually sketched a tree. You can see that. And it's light because it's a sketch, right? It's a guideline. It doesn't have to be really dark. So I use my pencil and I just traced in my lines. You can see they're kind of messy. I'm a messy artist. That's okay, right? We're all different in ways we do things. Some people might have more fine lines, but I kind of go over it and make it a little bit messy to make sure I really like it. You can still erase it. So that's my tree. You guys might like this one. This is just something simple. Da, 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 da. It's a heart. And this one's going to be fun because we might be able to use negative space if we want. So which part do we do? Do we collage the inside of the heart or the space on the outside? You get to decide. These are all things that you can choose with your design, and hopefully you'll like this so much that you make more than one. That would be so cool. Next one. So this is a little birdie sketch. You can see it. The tail feathers are kind of light. Hopefully you can see that. Little birdie sketch. So like I said, the sketches are really light because they're meant to be just a guideline. You can erase sections if you don't like how it looks. You can even start gluing stuff and then retrace what you did and decide, oh, you know, I don't like that line. With my bunny, I did that a lot with his face because I couldn't quite get the right shape. Something that might be really useful for this project is looking up a silhouette. So a silhouette is just a really simple, usually black and white, right? You've seen the profile of a person that's turned to the side and it's just the silhouette of their face. So looking up a silhouette image may help you get your general shape. That way you don't have to focus on too many details. You can just focus on the main outline. So that way when you start to do your bunny and glue your pieces in, you're really just focusing on the main shape. Now, this one's really cool. I used a National Geographic. So it's actually the photos of the K2, which is like one of the largest mountains in the world. So this is gonna be like a bunny made of mountains. Isn't that cool? So you get to decide how you wanna go about it. So once you've got your sketch in, I'll give you a few minutes to kind of ponder what you're gonna sketch, and then we'll talk about how you decide how you're gonna fill the area. So I just had this feeling that I wanted to do like kind of a gray bunny. Originally I was like, maybe I'll do a blue bunny because that seems like it would be cute. But I decided after looking through my magazine that I wanted to do kind of a gray bunny because I thought that the mountain may kind of give the impression of fur when it was torn up in little pieces. And I think it actually worked because he kind of looks like he's got spots, right? So not all pieces are tacked down. Some of them are kind of lifted up on the edges because I just put down the basic shapes. So here are my pictures. So I just went with big images that had a lot of the colors that I was looking for. So these ones are definitely more in the blue because like I said, I was gonna do blue or gray. I couldn't decide. But that might be nice because I may want to do like a background or maybe like do some blue clouds behind in this space outside of my bunny, which we oftentimes we call that as the negative space. So you get to decide, do you want to collage the bunny or do you want to collage the space outside the bunny? So big choices for you to make. Here's some more kind of images from my collage pics. This one's really good. So once we're done tearing it up, we probably won't really notice any of these things. Like this is obviously like a backpack, someone in a river with a pack. The one thing you may want to think about is, do you want words? I didn't want any words, so any places on my magazines that I cut out, I just took off the words. I just tore them out so that I didn't get any words on my bunny. But maybe you find a cool word that you like and you're like, oh my gosh, this totally needs to be the happy bunny or something like that. So you can use words. And traditionally collages have multiple layers. So you can put as many layers as you want on this. It's really up to you because, as you guys know, you are the artist, so you get to decide. So let's talk about how we tear out the images. So you can see I made a pile. I like to function in piles. So I grabbed a few sheets of the color that I wanted, the gray color for the bunny. And so I'm going to start with this one. So I'm actually going to just go ahead and tear off the word part and save that for later because I might end up using the black. I do need some black for his eyes. So I'm going to set that in another pile. So I first need to decide which section I'm filling on his body. So some of the areas that start to get a little tricky are going to be like his paws, where it's a rounded corner. But this is the cool part, is I tore everything in like a strip, like this. And I'm actually going to work around the backpack because I don't really want the backpack in there. I'm going to save that for something else. So kind of more manageable pieces. And then from there, what I started to do is I figured out if I needed a part that looked like it fit one of the areas, like this one right here is kind of a nice shape, and that actually might fit like right there. So it matches the shape already. So it's kind of like a puzzle. You can take some of the pieces that you have and see if any of the shapes that you have already torn might just so happen to match the shape. Like this one matches the kind of curve of his face. Now you can get a little more tricky and you can tear into curves, which you'll need to do if you're doing like feet or like for his tail or anything like that. I'm gonna have to make a rounded shape at the end. I kind of had to do that on his ears. So I'm gonna show you how to tear like a circle shape. Oh, this is a perfect example. I think I set this aside for his foot. So you can go about this in a couple different ways. I wanted to tackle the outer edges of my bunny first and kind of like the areas that seem like they would be a little more critical for getting the right shape down. And then I was gonna go back and fill in the middle with other layers. So like this is another one. This looks like a bunny foot to me, right? That's totally a bunny foot. It's a mountainside too. So I'm gonna put that on, that's actually a bunny paw. So we got that right on the bunny paw part. And then if we want to save all these, like, you never know, the pieces that you think are too small, they may end up working out for like his tail. So I kind of wanted to make his tail look like it was like fluffy, like it was poofs of hair. So I'm thinking that maybe adding several pieces that are in longer strips might add texture. because that's the cool thing about collage, is that we can create all this texture with all these kind of torn up pieces of paper. So let's go back to this kind of gray section. Oh my gosh, that's a camel head. So you may find something that you're like, I don't know if I want to put a camel head in there. He's real cute. So I'm going to tear off a smaller section, and I'm going to show you how I make a circle. So I'm actually going to hold the paper with my left hand, and then I'm going to use my right to try to like move in as much of like a curve or a circle as I can, little by little. Now, there's always people that are like, can I just cut it into the shape? Yeah, if you want to cut it into like a more direct shape, absolutely, you can do that. I just like the texture of it. So since you are the artist, you get to decide. I'm going to use that one on his face because it's perfect. So that's what I did. I just tore a shape, and then I kind of hold it up. Oh, it could be a tail too. So you kind of place it along your image to decide where you want it. And like I said, I'm trying to get the outside edges first so I get a good shape to my bunny. So I'm going to take my glue stick, put it on the place that I want to put it, and then I'm just going to start layering it over. Doesn't have to be perfect, and actually I kind of like the edges sticking up on certain parts because I think it adds a lot of really cool texture. So this next piece I think is going to fit right here really well, kind of framing in. And then let's see, oh, I'm going to put his foot down too. So we got that one for his foot, that's 1 foot, and then we got a paw. So cute. And this is just one layer, right? Keep in mind, because the next thing I think we're going to add is we can go over these areas with marker or pencil or shade, or draw some other features into our animal. I'm going to tear another piece to try to get, he's got kind of a round area right here for his mouth. So I'm going to see if I can find or tear a shape that will be kind of like good to fit there, and perfect. It looks great. So it's not, it's not like drawing, right, or cutting where you get a perfect shape. That's kind of the neat thing, is that it has sort of an organic rhythm to it by allowing for those intricacies to happen where we tear it. We don't tear it perfectly, right? Notice I haven't creased it at all. I've just been tearing with my hands. It's kind of therapeutic to just, tear little pieces of paper. I'm going to glue in the last part of his head. So let's see if we got, oh, that's kind of his belly. Where's the outside of his leg? Okay, so we've got that. I think you get the idea. I'm not going to finish Mr. Rabbit today, but I just wanted you to see what was possible with different shapes. I want to do a couple different shapes so you can kind of just see. I'm tearing again another little piece, and you might like, this one's really white, and I noticed that when I put his white paw down, it was really, really light, which is okay, but just, pay attention to those things. If you want an area to show up more, I'd probably want to pick a more vibrant piece of paper. So I think, so this is the straight edge of the paper, and I'm going to use that as part of his arm. So I'm just going to put the glue down, and I'm actually going to use the soft edge towards the inside because I want to create a little bit more space between the two arms. So I'm going to use that. And I have a little chunk that I think maybe I want to tear that off. So I'm just going to take it and tear it off. So the cool thing is the bunny still has kind of a lot of organic shape. So now do you see how that's kind of coming together? Even I've just only glued a few pieces. So I'm going to finish his face, and then I'll put some cute eyes on him, and then we'll move on to the next option. So this is all just magazines, right? I'm gonna get a smaller piece to go in the middle because I have kind of a little gap right there in the center. So I've got a space where I can see the paper underneath, and this is just regular paper, office paper. But originally collages were done on a lot of different surfaces, and they had a lot of different layers. I was even reading that some had gemstones glued to them, and then they put layers of lacquer over the top of it. Wouldn't that be fun to use gemstones? Can you imagine if I had like a jeweled bunny? Sounds like another project we could work on too. So again, I'm just kind of tearing and finding the shape. I think that's a perfect edge to the side of my bunny's face. And the other thing I want you to think about too, when I was thinking about this bunny, I was thinking, so my bunny's gonna be gray. So he's gonna be kind of muted, but then I was thinking, well, what if I did something really cool on the outside space of my bunny, right? So what do bunnies like? Carrots, right? So wouldn't it be so fun to do an orange background for the bunny, or even a background that kind of looked like little carrots, right? So think about this. This is kind of cool. This is actually a picture. It has a little guy, right? Since this is from a mountain, so this is a guy climbing the mountain, K2. I'm going to actually put that right on the front. So maybe when people look at it, they might be able to see that little man. So let's put that right there, because it's a cool layer of texture. And then I have one little tiny space. So that's why I said save those little extra scraps that are just tiny, because see, look, it's so teeny. It's going to go right over that little blank spot. Okay. I'm trying to read some of the, it's a cool bunny mountain. Yep, it is a bunny mountain. Welcome to Bunny Mountain. Yay! Okay, so since we learned about things like the color wheel, if you can imagine how gray and, or like, I mean, I know it's not a color, it's a neutral, but the orange next to the gray is gonna look really cool. So I think when I finish this, I'm gonna do an orange backdrop that'll kind of look, or look similar to carrots. So that's just a way that you can kind of keep designing. I'm going to do an eye for my bunny. And I had, at one point I tore out an eye. So now at this point I want the eye to be black because I want it to stand out. So, here we go. Here is just a black piece. Now, what are the things that we could do to create dimension, right? We talk a lot about mixed media and how we could make things have like layers. So what are some things that you could think about that might add another layer to this? Maybe a button, wouldn't that be cool? Or you could also, you know, crumple up the paper and make it really textured, or maybe do multiple layers of it. So there's a lot of options. I'm just gonna do a little eye out of the black paper that I found. And you get to decide, you know, how big, what shape. And again, I'm still just working with the tearing it, but you could, of course, use scissors. So originally I had my eyes kind of drawn on, and now of course I've gone over them. So this is where it becomes a little bit of improvisation, right? All art is sort of like improving. We can kind of have an idea, but sometimes things change and we have to adjust, right? How we had our original plan. So there's another eye. So I'm gonna go ahead. I have to flip it around so I can see it my view. Yeah, I think it's cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue them on, and then I'll show you. And maybe you wanna make your bunny have eyelashes. You know, maybe you like want to draw a pink nose on there, or like maybe your bunny wants to have some whiskers, or your creature or your animal, whatever, you want. So there's the little eyes. And from what I'm looking at, like, see how that part's kind of darker? It almost looks like that's like how where he would have a nose too, right? So you can use the colors from your collage to create different images on your design as well. So I hope that, because I really want to see all of these that you guys do, I hope that you share photos of your work. Have your parents help you share the photos in the comments so we can see it, because we are, number one, we miss you, and number two, we missing your art as well. So let's stay connected, and we'll keep sharing our art, right? So that's the bunny. I'm going to put the bunny aside. I wanted to give you some options. What if you are doing something and you're like, I am just not finding the color I want, right? Like, what if you want to do an apple and you can't find red paper? So what you could do, if you have enough plain paper, is you could take, and with one of your markers, right, or colored pencil, anything that you can use to color paper, why don't you just, you know, make a shape? Oh, this is a sad red marker. It's okay. We'll make it work, right? You could just start coloring in. Like if I wanted to do a red or pink bunny nose and I couldn't find it, you could also just make a color on a piece of paper. And you could use that, right? So you could still tear this into a shape and use it on one of your art projects as well. Like maybe you have a rainbow or something very specific that you need a specific color for. That might help you too while you're designing. If you look close enough in a magazine though, you just might find what you need. So I've got the bird, the tree, or the heart. So let's do the heart, because I think that will be a fun one to do, and maybe talk about how to use the space around it. So I think I'm gonna look through this. This is an Airbnb magazine, and it's got some cool colors, right? Immediately I was like, ooh, I need to take that magazine. That's gonna be good collage. Look at how pretty that is. So there's some yellow, so I'm gonna start with some yellows as my color. And then think about, what if you did like all flowers too? What if you were like, I'm gonna put flowers on the outside of the heart? So that would be really cute. Ooh, this one's good. There's yellow. I don't know if you can see that, but there's yellow stripes. This guy's hanging in, it looks like a tent or something like that, but there's cool yellow stripes. So I'm gonna take that one out. Ooh, and this one too. Ooh, this one's really cool. So sometimes you get ideas of what your design's gonna be from your materials, right? Like I didn't start thinking I was gonna do yellow, but then I looked through the magazine and yellow was like, we're doing yellow. So let that be something that can guide you too. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start tearing strips. And again, there's some that has words, so I'm gonna just work around the words. There's some with like cool signs, and I'm gonna keep those, but I'm gonna read the words. Ooh, what? Look at this, it says vibrant life. So I'm gonna take vibrant life because I think that's cool. Don't we all want a vibrant life? Yeah, that's pretty groovy. Let's see. Yeah, so I like vibrant life. I think I'm gonna use that in my collage, and maybe what if that was the center of my heart? So, glue stick, I'm gonna just kind of eyeball. This doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna put vibrant life in there. So see, collage is so cool because it's not any one thing. There's no one style. There's so many different styles. So I'm gonna put that as my main thing for my inside the heart, and now I'm going to start on the outside. So what if I just did like really cool strips, right? What if they kind of looked like, oh, like rays, like rays of light coming out from the heart? Wouldn't that be cool? Kind of like the sun. So I want to give you lots of ideas so that you know that any little creative thing that your heart desires, there's a way to do it. Sometimes you have to think about it for a minute, but sometimes it comes to you really fast too. So on this, every edge of these strips that I cut has a really flat edge. So I'm going to use that to line it up to the edge of my heart. And I'm actually just going to put glue in a section, and I'm just going to tack them down on the outside. So there's one, and there's two, and you get to decide how close do you want them, right? And I'm not gluing down the whole thing yet because I haven't decided how long I want them. I'm still working that out. Okay, so there's that. And they're not all the way glued down, so they have some texture. So I could leave them like that. Like, what if I wanted my picture to kind of have movement? When, like, you move it, it's got some texture. So you could do that. I'm actually going to tear off a little bit. And then I think I am just going to keep those up because maybe I'll want to put something underneath it, right? I could have layers. So I could do something like, what if I did like blue layers underneath, like that? Is it starting to make sense a little bit how you can create so many different shapes and ideas and options? I think as I've been talking, my glue may have dried. So I'm going to keep going, just gluing it down. I'm going to shorten it a little bit. Do you think that we could also draw on our page too? So we could really make it like a mixed media, and we could draw. So now I have all these shorter pieces that I've torn off. I'm going to switch and use those. So I'm going to start to make it so it's bigger at the bottom, and then it's going to go a little bit smaller at the top. Because the cool thing about collage is that you can use all the different little pieces in different ways. I think you guys are going to have so much fun with these that you might want to make more than one, I hope. And maybe you could even make them as gifts for friends. You know, you could make a little sign for your neighbor and brother and sister. And I'm going to go back to the bigger one because I want it to be kind of taller at the top. Ooh, and this one's cool. It has a little bit of blue, but we're going to go with that, adding it in. Okay, so that's a pretty good side of the heart that's done, right? What do you think? Do you like it? I think it's pretty fun. So do I have to continue with yellow? No, I could switch colors, right, if I wanted. So sometimes you have to go, what am I feeling? What do I want to have happen with this? Like, you know, it's good to pause and kind of reflect and go, what's the next thing? If you're not sure, you can lay your pieces down, see what they look like first, and get an idea of like, this is how you want to keep going. And then, so they started close together, and now they've sort of become like kind of spaced out. So I'm going to glue these down and then show you what I mean by that. Ooh, I had to pick up the ones to see which ones were attached because I wasn't sure anymore. And last one. Okay. So last one, I got it a little bit over where I needed it, so I just kind of pulled it and redid it. Okay. So what do you guys think? That's part of it. You like it? I think it's pretty cool. So ideas, that's just the simple one. So we're using the space outside of the design. And you know, you could keep going. I wanted to also show you that you could do some things with markers. So I'll do it on this one. So what if I really like this design and I wanted to add to it? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in my heart with a green marker. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go over my sketch marks. And show you what that looks like to use a marker with it. What do you guys think of that? Pretty cool, huh? And what if I decided that I wanted to mark around the words in the center too? So I'm gonna do that, and I'm actually gonna just duplicate the same like ray design that I did. So I'm just gonna put little rays around my little words that say vibrant life. A couple other ideas that you guys could do is you could do like a letter, right? The letter of your name. Like I could have done a big R, so draw a big R, and then fill that in with all my favorite things. Or what if I wanted to, I wanted to do my favorite color? You guys know Stephanie and I both love green, so we could do our initial, and then we could just maybe look for pictures of trees or leaves or green shapes or anything like that, and that could be what is what we're filling the space with. So heart with negative space. Another one I want to do, which is the tree. So I love trees. I love looking at trees. This is a good time of year to really look at trees, look at the bud. A lot of times when the trees are waking up, which they're doing right now, all of the little the wood branches, and especially look at the very, very tips. So where the very, very ends of the branches are, where all the little buds you can first see, sometimes there's so many cool colors. Sometimes the branches are even like pink or kind of like a yellow green. So look at trees because they're a good source of inspiration. So I've got my tree. I sketched in the ground, which you can see where it would be kind of like the roots, and then the trunk. And then I did put a full canopy on top, I guess, because I wanted to do more of like a summer tree. But you could do a winter tree or a spring tree or a fall tree. So think about the different ways that trees look throughout the year. That's the other cool thing, is pretty much any time of year you can find a tree that's really cool. And if you look really closely, there's never any branches that are the same, and the trunk is never really perfectly straight. It always has kind of a cool moving shape to it. So it doesn't ever look rigid, you know. Even though they're standing tall, they still have like a movement to them. So I wanted to show you how we could do the trunk. So I actually found some craft paper in our craft paper supply, and I thought, oh, that'd be a cool trunk. So I pulled that out. The other thing I wanted to show you was that this is a brown paper bag. This is one of our recycled paper bags. So that could be a cool trunk, especially because it's got like a cool texture to it. It's kind of more like rough feeling than some of your other papers. So now when we think about the trunk too, you think about how the trees, when you look at them, how they grow and everything's kind of moving up and down, right? Because they're reaching towards the sun. So if we were to take and tear little tiny strips that were long, we could lay those around the trunk and make it kind of look like real bark. So I'm gonna start by tearing a really, really skinny piece. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make it really long. And again, you might want to figure out if you're using something that has like words or something that you don't want, like a color you don't want, you could avoid those. I think it's really fun to use just your hands too and not use scissors, so it's up to you. So again, I'm gonna keep losing my glue stick. So I'm gonna start by going to the outside edges first, which for me is easier. So I'm gonna put one little piece down on the outside edge on one side of my tree. And then I actually really like the way that this piece has, so you see that it has like a really straight edge and then you see it has a really curvy edge. So I'm actually going to put the curvy edge out because I want it to be what's seen, because it'll look more like a tree. So I'm putting that down. And again, I'm just following my sketched guide that I have. And you may want to decide if there's any areas that you feel like if you glued over them, they might be hard to tell. So I'm actually going to glue the top part where it is going to connect to my canopy. I'm going to glue that part down now, so that then when I go in and fill in with all my greenery on top, I'll still kind of have that line of where I wanted to see where I brought my tree open up. So there's always, when you look at a tree, there's always the trunk. There's usually several main big branches, and then there's kind of that space in between where you can see the sky through before you see the big canopy. The other great thing about trees is, you know, no two branches or two trees are ever the same. They're all unique, just like us, right? And I'm going to finish this one section, and then I'm going to show you. And again, I'm going to tear off the, I don't want the straight edge of the paper, so I'm actually going to try really carefully to tear off the straight edge, because I just think it doesn't look as organic as I want it to. And I want it to have a lot of movement and be very natural looking, so it'll look more like a tree. And let's see, one more little patch here. You can see though, once you get going, it's kind of hard to stop. You're like, oh, you kind of get into a flow, and you just keep tearing and patching and tearing and patching and adding layers, and it's so fun. The hardest part is actually stopping and knowing when you're done. All right, so I want to show you, that's the tree layer. What do you guys think? Do you think it kind of looks like a trunk, like how the wood grows, and it's got texture? So I think I'm pretty happy with it. But I did also get a brown pencil because I wanted to show you that you could go in. You might want to make sure your glue's not wet, because it won't work. And I'm actually just going to kind of sketch around the edges. And I'm even going to sketch on my paper. And try not to sketch where there's wet glue. And this also could help if there were areas that I felt like I wanted to fill in or add. Like there are some kind of lighter color areas where the paper was showing through. So I'm actually just going to go through and kind of use my pencil to add like a little more dimension. You can see that I added a little bit of colored pencil, just kind of changed the shape that I got, and you can see where I kind of started to fill in where it's going to go up to the top. So I'm going to add a little bit of the green part just to show you, and then I think that you have quite a bit of information to work with. And like I said, Stephanie and I really want to see what you make. So please show us. Have your parents help you. Ooh, okay. So this is really cool because this is a picture of, it looks like a cabin, right? It's right side up there, sorry. So it's a cabin in the woods, right? That's nice. And look at all that cool greenery. So if you're not familiar, this is sage, which we have in our foothills. So that's actually a really common plant that we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do strips because I want to create a feeling of kind of like round plume type thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tear a strip, but it's going to be wide. And then I'm actually going to tear that into a section. And what I'm going to do I'm gonna tear off the words there, and I'm gonna make like a little circle. But the thing is you have a little more liberty to do some cool shapes, right? Maybe think of how broccoli looks, right? Broccoli is really just a tiny tree, let's be honest. A tiny, tasty tree. So does that look like a little poof from a tree? So I think it looks like a really good one. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it there. And like I said, you can set out images first. This one actually has a lot of words in it. Not any words that I feel like I'm gonna use, even though they're hard to read. So I'm gonna maybe think about some other words. So I'm gonna get some other funky shapes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This is where it's fun because you can do really like weird circles that aren't perfect, right? Kind of, so it's kind of a weird shape. It's got a little part, but that's gonna look exactly like how a tree looks, right? It's gonna have a little part that kind of sticks out. So I'm gonna glue these two down so you can see them. Actually, before I do that, I've got to put the layers in. So you might want to think about this. I want to finish the parts that are going up into the canopy because I'm gonna want to put the green part over it. Now, let's say I just got carried away and I was like, I'm gonna put this green part on now, and later I realized, oh no, I want to put brown there. So all you would do is just find that little paper and put the brown on, and then add your green over the top of it too. So it's kind of like you don't erase really, but you just keep adding your layers, right? If we're not happy with something, we go, oh, that should be green. We'll find your patch of green and just put it over the top of it. So I'm gonna put on my section that I feel like is my canopy base. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put my first part of my plume tree. And does your tree have to be green? No. Have you seen trees that are red? You've seen trees and shrubs that are purple, yellow, orange, right? I haven't really seen, oh, well, wisteria, that's purple. So there's really, I have not seen a rainbow tree, but I think that there should be more rainbow trees in the world. So I think that someone should work on making that. Okay, so I penciled around the branch. What do you think? Does that look like a cool tree? Yeah, I'm gonna put this last section on, and then I think that you guys have enough to get your creative brain flowing and really get some cool shapes and some cool layers and textures. And like I said, you can kind of like take a piece and you can kind of crumple the paper. Like say you want some texture, you can crumple the paper and then add that in too. So why not? Why not? You know, all that's gonna happen is you're gonna go, that I took it too far, you know, but I think it's perfect. So, you know, keep in mind, you may do something one time that you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to have happen, but it's art. It's forgiving, and I actually really like the texture of that one, so I think that one's gonna go right in the middle. So I kind of want to give you an idea of how this is gonna come together. Ooh, I love it. And so because I don't want that one totally flat, because it's got all that cool texture, I just left it kind of up. Oh my gosh, it's a tiny broccoli tree. So it looking good, and like on this part, I forgot to attach my branchy part, so I'm just gonna add my branch part in. And then I'll just put some more green over the top of it. Maybe oh, it just worked perfect. Sometimes this is the fun part. Sometimes you put a piece on and you're like, I couldn't have planned that better. Like, it's just perfect. Like there's a little tip of the edge that's just like perfectly blends into the trunk of the tree. Like, so awesome, right? You can celebrate that and be happy about it when it just kind of works out easily for us. So I'm taking in my pencil. Okay. And, oh, I was going to show you how you would add another little extra layer if you got like a section where you were like, oh, I did a little too much tree trunk on that section. And I actually liked the crumple section, so I'm going to crumple it again, open it back up, and I'm going to just put it right over the middle of those two. And I think it's kind of cool when there's like edges that stick up. What I mean by that is like I didn't glue the whole thing down. So hope you can see how it has texture. So that littlest piece is the one that I crumpled, and then like the edges are sticking up. So it kind of has texture. It's almost like it has its own movement. It's kind of alive, if we were to say that. So yeah, so far it doesn't seem like there's too many questions that I can see, but I realize not everyone can watch this right now, so you may be tuning in a little bit later. I hope you guys are having fun at home, spending time with family, and making really cool art, and that you're going to show us because we really want to see it. Listen to your parents for us too. That's so important. Don't cut up any family heirlooms or books that you shouldn't, or your mom's favorite cooking magazine, because that would just be bad for everyone. So anyways, Stephanie and I, we hope to see you soon, and have fun with your projects, and kitty paws. All right, bye-bye.